Hello everyone, I am so excited to be here for the Stampwheel 2.0 video hop where you're going to get lots of inspiration on using this amazing tool. Here you're going to see the two photos that I created for this hop. I used the Painted Geraniums stencil art set, which you're going to see right here. So this is the stencil art. It's a beautiful layering stencil set. It has 6 layering stencils, and this is unique because it is a tall stencil. So it's 4.5 by 8.5. Then we have an outline die that you can purchase in the store, which we will use the die in today's video. So I'm laying my stencil 6, and then I lay stencil 1 over it, and I can't fit it. So what do? I take the side of the stamp wheel off, lay my stencils back down, and it fits perfectly. The reason I do this, and then I tape stencil 1 into place, is to make sure that when I add all of the elements to my ink blending, to my stencils, that it will fit in the stamp wheel and fit on my cardstock, so nothing goes off the cardstock. So I hope you take that tip and use it in your crafting. So first we used Peachy Glow. Now I'm coming in with Pastel Sunrise. I'm using the 10 micro blending brush. Those are some of my faves, to add some detail just to the edge of the geraniums on this particular ink blending. Now I will flip this. Great thing. I can do 2 arrangements with this, and I'm going to come back in with my Peachy Glow, and I'm going to start blending that through my geraniums. So I'm so excited that we have this opportunity, right? The cardstock in my Stampwheel 2.0 is 9 by 9. And here we're coming in with Pastel Sunrise to add just that little interest and, a little bit of a different color around the edges of these beautiful geraniums. And next we're going to peel up our stencil. We'll put in stencil 2, and you can see it's hanging over the edge of my Stampwheel 2.0. We have golden honeycomb, and I'm filling in most of the openings here with the golden honeycomb. I think some I just put it around the edge, but it creates interest, right? So it gives a little bit of a different look. Now we have Canyon Clay, and I'm adding this just to the outside of the opening. I'm not filling the openings with this color. So keep this in mind when you're doing your stencils. You can use one color to color all the openings, right? And then you can come in with another ink color to really highlight the edges or to give it a different look. So I'm going to adjust this just a little bit. I got it just a little misaligned. I should have used 2 pieces of the satin masking tape to really hold it firmly. So here we have just the golden honeycomb, and I'm not filling all the areas. I am going around the outside and adding this as interest. Next, we're going to go into stencil number 3 for step 3, A3. And for this one, we're going to go ahead and use Amber Blaze on this for our base layer. Then next we're coming in with burnt red. So I'm really marrying together my Martian Terrain and my Sun-Kissed Delights for the flowers on the geranium. And again, I'm not always filling in the opening on the stencils. Sometimes I'm just adding highlights around the edges. So we're going to peel that up, and we're going to come over and put this layer onto the other arrangement. And for this one, I'm skipping the Amber Blaze, and I'm just adding the burnt red as a highlight around the geranium. So it's fun that you can create, and we're flipping this now, we're going to A4 on this, and for this one we'll be using Melted Butterscotch, and I did fill in the openings with this. But I think it's fun that you can create 2 similar projects, but they're not necessarily totally the same. Now I'm coming in with mahogany bark, and I'm adding this around the edges again to add some interest. We'll flip the stencil and come over to our other arrangement, get that lined up, and do our A4 layer. And for this one, I'm just using mahogany bark. So I hope this video will encourage you, number 1, to get your Stampwheel 2.0 because it is a fabulous tool. Don't know how I would live without my stamp wheel. And number 2, I hope it will encourage you to play around with some inks a little bit, and play with your stencils. Add one color here, don't add it to the next one. Bring in a color from another family and try it out. So I hope you explore color a little bit. So I'm going on to stencil number 4, and this is B1 for the leaves. I'm using Misty Sage with my 10 micro brush. And this is where I said earlier, it did go up over the side a little bit, but that's okay. I'm okay with it. That doesn't bother me. It works perfectly on this side, right? For the bottom, the side goes up over the side a little bit. Again, doesn't bother me at all. And I did forget to do the B1 layer, which is on Stencil 4, which adds a little leaf image. And I did go back and do that off camera. So just wanted to let you know that when you see it in the finished project and you're like, hey, she didn't do that in the video. Yeah, I had forgotten about it. And so, yeah, I had to go back and do that. So you see B1 over to the right at about 9 o'clock on the stencil there. And I fixed my blending wasn't great on that first one, so I went back and fixed, so I had a nice, pretty line. Now I'm getting B2, which is stencil 5, lined up, and we used Misty Sage on the previous one. And now we're continuing in the Jade Dreams family, which absolutely love this family. And I'm still using my micro brush to get in some great color. I decided not to add the flower centers on this. I liked my flowers as they were, so I didn't add any more coloring to this. I was really happy with how it was, and I didn't want to change it. I did think about adding the flower centers with a gold pigment ink, and I decided not to, but if you're creating this project also, maybe a gold pigment ink would be nice, or even using a gold gel pen would be really pretty. So now we're on the final stencil here, stencil number 6, and I'm using the beautiful green opal, such a pretty ink, and just really makes those leaves pop, like they're going to pop off the page, and it looks like you can touch them, which has always been one of my favorite things about the Altenew layering stamps and stencils. All right, so we've got that all finished, and you can see I've cut them out, and you can see my little leaf is in there. I'm now using my teal blending brush to create a focal point, and I'm using a stamp from the Blossoms of Encouragement, which is the Craft Your Life project kit, and then I use my obsidian pigment ink, and I go ahead and stamp that down, and then I have my project. And I'm going to lift up this card panel and just put the other one in front of it and lay it down. So that way I know I come in, I do my ink blending, and I know my sentiment's going to be perfectly placed. And I did bring in my floral cluster the first time to make sure I liked the placement of it. So now we are all set with our Stampwheel 2.0. We have our 2 panels there, just a little bit different, but very similar. I'm using glue tape to put on the back of my painted geraniums, and then we'll slide that into place where it's hugging that beautiful sentiment. And we'll do the same thing for the second one here. Get that into place. This is a great way to mass produce. You could have just kept stenciling along on those geraniums and just create these, as you saw how easy it was to create this back focal panel with just using that teal ink color. I don't know the color, it's just my teal blending brush. I just used the excess ink. But very easy way to create a focal image on a card, and very easy to mass produce these. And so I added the red jasper gem sparkles to the card on the right, and then I left the card on the left just alone. Like, it doesn't have any extra, but I wanted to show you can really mass produce these and get really different looks in simple ways by just adding colors to one and not to the other, and adding embellishments to one and not to the other. So I hope that you enjoyed this video showing you what I love most excuse me, about the Stampwheel 2.0. I'm so excited. I love that I can use my large stamps, my large stencils. I have all the space in the world, and I'm so excited. Don't forget, there are giveaways. You want to make sure to leave a comment for a chance to win on the fabulous videos in this hop. Make sure to head out and check out the other designers. Thank you so much for joining me today. It is always a pleasure and an honor to have you spend some time with me. Until next time, my friends, happy crafting.